It's Friday, it's 4 o'clock, it is short fuse. What a week it's been. Hello, welcome, hope you are all well, particularly certain people who've been in hospital, but we'll come to that a little bit later. I heard there's a lot of itching going on for a certain person out there. We have some cream for you, don't worry about it. Big shout out this week to, drum roll, our Prime Minister, yes. She decided to get rid of a whole bunch of Ruskies, yes, because they put some nerve gas into Salisbury near the Sainsbury's, boo. And then what will happen is, there is an energy link. Could it be that the Ruskies will cut off our gas? We shall find out next week's short fuse. Anyway, there you go. That was the bit that I wanted to do. You've probably seen that story today. Lots of rumours that Russia will retaliate against us by cutting off our gas. But good old Trumpy, he will pass us a huge boat full of shale gas. So don't worry about it. All right, moving on. Let's do our story of the week. And once again, it's all about the Big Six. This time it's SSE boss APD, Mr. Alistair Phillips-Davies, who has basically said that the Big Six, well, all energy companies, not just the Big Six, should have a right to appeal on the price cap. We've heard about this price cap for ages. The price cap on standard variable tariffs. They say that basically he's saying this. We need some clarity on this. They don't want the price cap. None of the energy companies want this, and they said that actually since the cap has been introduced, which is not true because it's not actually been introduced anywhere near right now, but you can see what they're saying. Since the publicity came out, since the government said they were doing it, switching has decreased. Which sounds slightly counterintuitive when we had a report just a couple of days ago or a week ago talking about switching going up. But anyway, the essence of it is they are saying that this has been a rushed piece of legislation that isn't fair. And I have some sympathy with Mr. Phillips-Davies and the other companies, because if you look at it, the whole issue of a price cap is one where you're saying we as a government, it's the government proposing it, we will legislate on a market that is supposed to be a market, i.e. you and I buy goods depending on the price, and we go somewhere because they're cheaper, or we don't go somewhere because they're more expensive. So we make the choice. By saying you're going to set a set price, well, that leaves you a valuation change, because companies work by saying some tariffs are a bit more expensive, some tariffs are cheaper, we try and get deals. That's how everything works. You go to any shop, you're not going to get everything the same price, are you? Things have different prices. And if everything was the same price, then everyone had the same thing. There would be no choice in the matter. So Alistair Phillips-Davies, and I assume he's speaking on behalf of some of the Big Six bosses, say that they should have a right to appeal on this. And I have got quite a lot of sympathy on that, because I think this is a rushed piece of legislation that won't really work. Now, we're miles off this happening. Whatever we've heard over the last few weeks, even like a week and a half ago when Ofgem said it'll happen by the end of the year, we haven't had this legislation even passed through yet, okay? So it hasn't been read in the House and gone through the system of parliamentary scrutiny. If it happens, then the price cap happens at the end of the year. But I'm pretty certain that the big energy companies will get a chance to get their voices heard. Moving on, another story based on the same thing, this by Labour. So Labour basically said, remember, what was it, 2015, I think? What was his name? The old Labour leader, Miliband, Ed Miliband. He proposed, and everyone laughed, but it was his big idea, let's have an energy price cap. Well, Labour have said that if energy prices had been capped since the Tories came to power, remember they came to power as part of the coalition back in 2010, we would have saved, all of us, an extra grand. We've paid £1,000 more. So they're saying we've paid about £957 extra in that time on our energy bills. 526 on gas and 430 odd on electric. They've worked out the prices based on how much things have risen since 2010, and then they've averaged it out. They basically said the Tories have been inactive because they're in bed with the Big Six companies, and that Labour's idea of introducing publicly owned utilities would change all of this. And also they're saying, hurrah, the Tories are listening to us because they're introducing the price cap. Now, this is all very well for Labour to say, oh yeah, this is great, you know, you could have saved ourselves this money. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Wouldn't it be great that we could keep everything at the prices they were? I remember when petrol was 40p a litre, okay? That was before George was born. right? But that is, you don't, things like that don't happen. So you can't say if this had happened, we would not have this price ride, because the fact is the market has been, as I keep going back to it, a market. So unless you completely nationalize everything and you have a regulated market, these sort of statements about how much money you could have saved are pretty much pointless. You could say, yes, Labour will make a stand and say, as they're saying, we will take these big suppliers out and we will make sure that it's all publicly funded. And then you could have a set price. But to say, oh, it could have cost you this much if there'd been a price cap. Well, no one was talking about price cap in 2010. Labour were not talking about price cap in 2010. So I think that's a bit higher. Finally, in this section, a little bit more about money, but lampposts. Oh, yes. Smart lampposts. So smart lampposts could save Europe, the continent of Europe, about 2 billion euros, so about 1.8 billion pounds. This is from the EU Sharing Cities programme. They've looked at it and they've basically said a smart lamppost could save around about 70% energy on a standard one. And that, if you put that across Europe, that's about, the £3 billion euro bill on street lighting would go down to something like 900 million. What is smart lamppost? Well, obviously, smart lamppost is one that is smart. It knows when to turn on, when to turn off. It's probably got an LED light. It may have other functions. It may provide a charging point, all of this stuff. So this is all good stuff, but we're a hell of a long way from investing in these things. So these savings sounds great, but you got to build the things, guys. So you got to replace all the lampposts across Europe. Now, unless there's a very cheap way of retrofitting it, I think that could be a little bit difficult. Right, that's it for stories in this section. There'll be more with the reporters a bit later. But now, this week's Viewpoint. Now, this is an interesting one. So the UN this week has said that there should be a new environmental rights initiative. Well, what does that mean? That means defending the right of people to protest about environmental claims. Now, you'll see a video here of all the kind of protests, just one of the examples of protests that we have covered over the last 7-8 years on Energy Live News. And, protesting is absolutely vital. It's part of what makes a civilized society work, and people should protest about what they feel is wrong, particularly on the environment, as it affects us all. So Global Witness, which is a pressure group, an NGO, I'm not sure about these figures, but it sounds absolutely shocking. But they say globally, on average, 4 environmental campaigners are killed each week. Now just think about it. 4 people are being killed every week, according to this group, because they're protesting about our planet. Now, if that stat is correct, that's bloody shocking, full stop. But more importantly, what does that say? It says that actually you've got 100 nations that have in their charter the right for environmental rights protests. Well, clearly something's going wrong if people are being, whether they're being jailed, beaten up, tortured, who knows, and, obviously, as they're saying, actually killed in the rights of doing what should be everyone's right. Whether you're sitting in India, whether you're sitting in Dagenham, where you're sitting, in the Arctic, who cares? If you feel there's an environmental issue, you should be able to protest against it. So the head of the UN Environment Group said that there should be a charter. Like we have the UN Charter on Human Rights, we should have a charter on environmental rights. And who would not agree with that? He basically says that people should be, protected for those who are standing by, protecting the planet. We give lip service to it here because we know that we've covered so many protests. Let's hope, I'm pretty certain, no one's going to get absolutely murdered in this country for going out with a banner against fracking or cleaning up landfill or doing anything like that. But there are parts of the world where that is a serious issue, same as it is around the freedom for journalists and the freedom for people to protest in general. So I don't know about UN charters. Who knows? People say that the UN has done a lot of good, probably has, but also there's a lot of issues around whether these things actually are just lip service. But getting the environment protected, allowing people to be protected who are going out there and protesting, well, who would not say that that's a good thing? So any thoughts on that, then let me know. Just email us. You know what to do. You've got the usual hashtags. And now, finally, a bit of class comes to the show. It's this week's Hack Hutch.
So are you. Hello.
Hello, come
Hi.
closer.
Is that good?
Are we going to
I
clash?
know, we're clashing. Whose is better? Let us know.
Well, clearly mine, anyway. So tell me what you've been doing,
Well, busy.
apart
with-
from writing notes on Post-its.
Apart from that, I'm going to Paris this weekend.
Hey, you never told me this.
Yeah, that's why I got the Monday off.
Ah, have you?
Yes, I have the Monday off.
What are you doing in
It's in
Paris?
the diary. I'm going to my friend's civil partnership celebration.
Nice.
Although it's husband and wife. Although it's man and woman, because I thought it's usually civil
Yes.
partnerships is between the same sex.
Yes.
But apparently in France you call it civil partnership,
So it
which
means
is
getting married without being married.
yeah, exactly.
Damn good idea. in my book. Anyway, that's good. Yeah, shut up, George.
Well, it's too late for you now.
Yeah, all right, okay. Enough. Right, so tell me more. What's going on?
Okay, so this week, if you didn't already read our story, we had the spring statement. So it was the first spring statement, which we're going to have from now on. So there'll be only one budget every year, the autumn budget. And that's because the Chancellor said that's to give certainty to businesses and householders to plan ahead. So what he said was he announced a consultation on tax charges for plastic, for single-use plastic.
What a surprise.
So we've got lots of stories around plastic at the moment. So money raised from this will be used to invest in other greener products and processes across the country. But prior to that being implemented, he's committed £20 million for universities and businesses to come up with new ideas to tackle this issue. And he also said that there will be a consultation in the near future on reduced tax rates for businesses who switch to greener vans, so electric vans rather than
Okay,
the
well, that's
petrol
an
diesel
interesting
ones.
one for our audience, definitely.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on for that. Next one is about this new research. So about bottled water containing thousands of particles.
Have we got any bottled water? Get
Yes.
that bottle.
Is that
Right.
What
So
is
this-
this? No, that is not a bottle.
Well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, right, so.
Plastic. That's not. Is that
Oh, is that a
plastic?
plastic one? Who's got a plastic bottle? We must have one knocking about. We always have one. Anyway, Pree's gone to get one. Brilliant.
Have you got a
So,
plastic
in
bottle?
this office,
Oh, yeah.
right, we have had a big debate this week about people drinking from plastic bottles, right? And I've always said it's really bad for you. And Pree, yeah, we won't advertise the brand, but basically, you know what?
There
it
are
is.
other brands
There are other
available.
brands. You drink out of these things. You keep them for ages, don't you?
Yep.
Right.
And so does George, because that's from his table.
There you go. So, but what have you found out this week about how
But
dangerous things are?
apparently, they contain thousands of plastic particles.
Yes. What I've been saying for ages.
Huh?
You haven't said that. Johnny,
and
bring me your water thing. Yeah, keep going. Doesn't
so
matter.
this research tested 250 bottles
Yeah.
across 11 brands and found there were thousands of
what you
plastic
need.
within
Look.
within the bottle.
Old school.
Yeah, I've got one of those at home.
Yeah. But I told you about those bottles. You
I
didn't
know.
believe me. You was like, oh, it doesn't happen. Now,
It's not I didn't believe you. It's just the research has
so how
confirmed
much
that
plastic
it's.
have you ingested over the years?
Oh,
This is
I
brilliant,
have
isn't it?
no idea.
A couple of
I'm
Lego
probably
bricks
gonna-
worth.
Just got a few years now.
So what have they said then?
So they said thousands of plastic particles,
Yeah.
and 93% were contaminated with traces of plastic like nylon and polyethylene.
OMG, 93%.
And overall, the particles are roughly twice as many as that you find in tap water,
There you go.
which is pretty interesting.
There you go.
But on that note, we just ran a story today. If you haven't already seen it, it's on energylivenews.com about another researcher who's kind of not particularly against, but he says that while this research suggests that there's a lot of particles
Yeah.
within the plastic bottles, he
Yeah.
says there's actually these particles everywhere around us. So he says you actually have more particles
Yeah.
in a glass of water that you get out of your cupboard and you're walking around your office drinking that water than the plastic bottles. So for a second opinion, head on over to our website to have
Just
a
when
look
I
at the story.
thought the world was clear, there was some clarity. I still believe tap water's the best. So there you go. Anyway, all right,
Boiled.
in a glass. Anyway,
Next up is
Yes.
the inquiry on air quality from 4 departments across
brilliant.
the
So we've got
Commons
water
committees.
that's poisoning us, and now the air is
Air
killing us.
quality is killing us, and
Right.
it's poisonous according to the committees.
Right.
So
Is there
basically,
any
it's,
cheerful stories? At all?
Maybe a cheerful one next, depending on which sector you're in.
Okay, go
on. So what the committees have said is that the government have accused the government of treating air quality as just a box ticking exercise.
Right.
And they've slammed the government for not protecting the public enough from all the poisonous air, because you know the EU
particulates and everything.
Yeah, the Parliament, the EU Commission did tell the UK that we're over our limits, the legal limits, and London also reached its legal limits within the first week or so this year.
Nice clean air in this town.
And what they've said is that this has led to 40,000 early deaths.
Flipping heck.
And it cost us £20 billion. So that's a lot of money. So what they've suggested is the 2040 ban on polluting cars and vehicles. So they said the government should bring that forward. The transport sector should also contribute to a clean air fund, which is interesting. And also a national health campaign, they say, that should be brought forward to basically just give more information to the public.
Okay.
And Bayes said, or the government said that their comprehensive air quality plan will be out later this year, and they'll be responding to the committees in due course.
Okay. And you've got one more, have you?
Yes. I don't know, it depends which sector you're in. So this is about Statoil getting rid of oil from his name. So it's rebranding and getting rid of oil. I know we had that with Dong Energy.
Yeah, we've had that with Dong.
So Dong changed to Ørsted earlier this year. So now next in line is Statoil. So it wants to broaden its energy reach from just oil and gas production.
So what's it going to be called?
It's called Equinor or Equinor. I don't know how you say it.
Why are they coming up with these
So
names?
the EQU,
yes,
I is basically stands for equal, equality, equilibrium.
Okay.
The NOR, N-O-R, stands for its Norwegian origin.
Okay, all right, I do get that one.
Which is quite,
Equal
which makes
Norway.
sense. Yeah.
Nice, all right.
And it has pledged to invest between 15 to 20% of its budget in new clean technologies by 2035.
So there you go. Soon we'll have no British Petroleum. Well, BP is BP, isn't it? We'll have no companies with any
oil, gas in it.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Anything else?
Finally, if you have any stories for us, energy efficiency, energy savings, send it over to stories@energylivenews.com.
She won't be listening, but Johnny will, because he's going to have to do some work on Monday. Aren't you, Jonas?
I'm going to be away.
Yeah, there you go.
I hope you all have a lovely weekend.
She will.
Yes.
Excellent. That's very good. Very good. Right. Okay. So before that, let's get on with some dates for your diary. So dates for your diary. We have, and I'll talk about ELK in a moment as well. March 22nd at the Energy Live Consultancy Conference, which is taking place in Manchester. We'll all be up there next week. June the 7th is, of course, Energy Live Future, which is at the Siemens Crystal. And June the 28th is Telka. All right, it's the moment we've been waiting for. Any shout outs?
Yes, one.
One shout out.
Although Kevin said he was going to be at the hospital.
Kevin said he's going to be at the hospital. Did he really?
He's logged in and he sent you a gift.
He sent me a gift.
Which you have to wear. So
okay.
Wear it and then you can see what it says.
I've got the microphone as well. All right, hold those. This is, if this has got anything, is it something that's going to get us sued?
I mean, I wouldn't put anything that's rude, but I don't know, it could be worse than even being rude.
What does it say? What does it say?
You miss him so much, you think.
What is that? Is it on the mic? Can you hear it? Can you flip that around? What does it say? God, let's have a look. No, no. Of all the things, actually, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. We're all flat. It's not bad. And you know what? Big shout out to Kev, because Kev's been a little bit unwell. He had, don't put it up yet, he had a little operation down there. So he had an operation down there. It's taken him a while. He's got ice packs on down there. Well, down there. I can't say any more. It's just lower than his waist. That's all I can say. And basically, but we know, Kev, you're on the road to recovery because we know your ambition. And this is it. Look at that. That is what we want. Look at that. After his operation, that's what's going to happen. So, Kev, we cannot wait to see the new reconstructed you down there.
Well, we're going to see it.
Yeah, it's going to go. We've got some more shout outs. What are they then?
So, R. Morag said, bring back the red shirt.
Bring back the red shirt. Absolutely, I will do.
Kevin Corcoran said, Hackatch looks like a Jackson Pollock piece.
I say Jackson Pollocks to you, Kevin Corcoran. And
hola. Somebody says, Groon out 7 says hola.
Hola, Groon out 7.
7 says salam.
Salam. Excellent. And what else do you do? Namaste. We'll do everything. Okay, that's great stuff. Thank you very much, Kevin. And on a serious note, quiet boys, do get better. Chaya, stop going in and out the office. We've brought her in. All she's supposed to do is make the tea, and yet she's going in and out the office. Anyway, moving on. This is our and finally. Well, it's not actually our super and finally because there's one more last thing. But look at this. Elon Musk. He's at it again. So he's launched something called The Boring Company. And what it is a company that will bore tunnels, because you know that he's been going on about tunnels and that's the future of transport. And then he says in a bit where he goes, you know what, I wanted people to build it and no one did, so I'm going to build it myself. So he's now investing in building some tunnels where you have underground buses and they pop up and everything like that. Sounds bonkers, but hey, you know what? If a man can put a Tesla into space, maybe he can build us a few tunnels. Well, that's about it, except for this announcement about next week. We're not here on Fridays. Oh no. Next week, we are going to be live from the Energy Live Consultancy Conference on Thursday. So Thursday at 4 o'clock, please tune in then, Thursday at 4 o'clock. The reason is that we're going to be there. Most of us are there for the whole day. We'll also be doing interviews with the brokers there. We'll have a session all about Kevin Corcoran's health. We'll have lots going on there. So tune in for a extended version of Short Fuse next Thursday. And then the Thursday after that, we'll also be doing it because it's Good Friday and it'll be the last show with George. Oi! So we'll be having George doing things. What? We'll be having him doing things for the last 3 minutes of the show. So really, you won't want to miss that. So next Thursday at 4 o'clock, the following Thursday at 4 o'clock. Until then, to everyone, including Kevin Corcoran and his bits, have a great week.